On calling the roll for the Tuesday, November 13th Board of Control meeting, we have Nan Baker. Here. We have Dale Miller.
Here.
We have Trevor Macular serving as an alternate for Dan Brady.
Here.
We have Mike Dever. Here. Armin Budish.
Here.
Angie Rich serving as an alternate for Dennis Kennedy. Here. And Rich Opry serving as an alternate for Lenora Lockett. Here. We have a quorum.
Minutes from November 5th. Any corrections? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Any public comment?
No public comment at this time.
Tabled items?
And no tabled items.
Okay, let's get started.
First item is item number BC 2018-778, Department of Public Works, recommending an award on requisition 43677 to LF Donnell, Inc., doing business as Donnell Ford, in the amount not to exceed $138,790, and it's for the purchase of 2019 F-250 4x4 pickup trucks.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Department of Public Works. This first item is the purchase of four 2019 Ford F-250 4x4 trucks. These are replacements for our sanitary division. This was a formal bid that we did with OPD. Went to 13 vendors. We had 3 bid submissions, went to the lowest and best. 2 of the hand-me-downs are going to go to our facilities division. The other 2 will be reviewed by our fleet manager to determine their condition and if they can be repurposed.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes.
Councilman Miller?
I'm pleased to see you got 3 bids on this. A lot of these vehicle
Yes.
ones only get 1 bid. My question is, who else came in on this and at what prices?
We had the low bid was Donnell Ford at $138,790. We had the next bid was $141,536. That was Liberty Ford, and the third one was Bob Gillingham at $143,719.
Big time suspects.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-779, Department of Public Works, recommending an award on requisition 43289 to Bob Gillingham Ford, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $61,589.50 for the purchase of 2019 F-550 enclosed body catch basin truck.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Public Works again. This is for a 2019 F-550 catch basin truck. This was a formal bid, went to 15 vendors. This one had 2 bid submissions. Went the lowest and best bidder. This is for a new vehicle for additional catch basin crew with our sanitary division.
You. Any questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-779, Department of Public Works. 2018-780, Department of Public Works, recommending an award on requisition 42911 to Bob Gillingham Ford, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $48,770.50. And it's for the purchase of 2019 F-250 Super Cab 4x2 with swab animal control unit.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, again, Public Works. Purchase of an F-250 animal control unit for our kennel. This is a replacement. It's going to replace a 2008 truck, which will be recycled down to our facilities division. Again, this was a formal bid, went to 13 vendors, and we had 2 bid submissions, lowest and best.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Dever. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-781, Department of Public Works, recommending a payment to Northeast Ohio Area-Wide Coordinating Agency in the amount of $221,242 for annual membership dues, and it's for the period July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019.
Good morning, Michael Dever with Public Works. This is a payment to NOACA, our annual payment to NOACA for the reimbursement of federal funds into, or should I say, the disbursement of federal funds to the 5-county region here. We're part of the NOACA board. Myself, the county executive, a member of council, serve on that committee. This item, first off, the reason why it's late today is the item was submitted in late July. Their payment request was submitted to us in late July. At the same time, council board was reviewing a membership increase, and the board of directors ultimately agreed on a membership increase at the same time. So we had a revised payment that came to us in September. Then we submitted the item through OnBase, and there was questions about should it be submitted as a membership or dues or as a payment. We went back and forth, and ultimately the fiscal, Dennis Kennedy suggested that we submit this as a payment. So it's before you today as a payment.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. McAleer.
Mike, could you just tell what the previous membership dues were and what it went up to?
Yeah, so previous dues were at $165,507, and then the new dues have gone up $55,000 and some change, $55,735 to the total amount due on the agenda.
And just as follow-up, did it go up for every county?
That's correct. So this is the first time they've increased the dues in over 10 years. Every county shares a proportion of this. Obviously, Cuyahoga County is the largest, so our dues obviously went up the most.
Any other questions? Councilwoman Baker.
That is a considerable increase. I mean, that's making up for a few years, I guess, there. Knowing that the contract was 7/1 and we didn't receive, it was submitted late in July, we knew right from the beginning we were never going to make that July 1st deadline for the contract date. Was there any thought of changing that period to a different date rather than July 1st, 2018?
It probably should be changed to a different date. That's the calendar that NOACA works under. So I can go back to Grace Gallucci, the executive director, and see if we can make an adjustment to that.
For when it was approved, beginning whatever this is, November then, or December?
But it will be up till that, till July 1st of 2019.
Okay. It would just look better, I think, if we had if we knew right off from the beginning we were never going to make this July 1st beginning date of that agreement.
Like I said, they submitted their invoice to us in late July, actually, the 30th of July. So it is for the calendar year.
Okay. What percentage increase is that? Is that a 25% increase?
I believe it is, actually. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it's close to 25%
Close to 25.
increase. So primarily it was for
I think it's actually larger if you calculate it.
there was other items specifically that they were increasing it for. It was some of the dollars were for the strengthening the water quality reserve or quality program, and then also for to increase the reserves within NOACA's budget.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Miller.
Getting back to the increase, was the percentage increase the same for every county, or did the formula change in a way that worked against us?
There's a methodology to it, and so there was, we did see obviously the largest increase of it, just because of our percentages, because it's based on based on population of the county, as opposed to the 5 other, or the 4 other counties. So we did see the largest increase. So percentage-wise, yes, it was across the board. It was an increase to all. I hope I've answered that correctly for you.
I'm not totally clear on your answer.
The methodology, I don't believe, changed, Councilman Miller.
The methodology didn't change?
No, it didn't.
Okay. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. McAleer.
Mike, just to put things in perspective though, like, do you know how much for last calendar year that we actually received? I mean, it's in the millions. I mean, just to kind of paint the whole picture in terms of our return.
That's right. So on the return, at any given time, Cuyahoga County does see a substantial portion of those dollars coming back into the county and to our projects. And then also some of these dollars are being utilized for RTA, congestion mitigation dollars that come back to RTA, who gets the largest percentage throughout the state also.
Yeah, I'm glad Mr. McAleer raised that. We get the most money and we get the biggest percentage, so. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I just had a quick question.
Sure.
In regards to the NOACA, have we been receiving services since July? Because since this is not a contract, it's an invoice, and the invoice reflects that a certain time period. Normally, we have to honor that time period. So it's an annual ongoing service. If we've been receiving services since July, we would have to keep that date the same.
Well, we've been participating in the meetings, and there has been allocations coming back to the county. So yes, we have been receiving it.
So we cannot change the date.
I'll check with the executive director at NOACA to see if there can be any type of adjustments or to get that invoice in an earlier time period. Once again, there was the discussion and the debate going on before the board of directors about the increased rate, and that was happening.
That was part of the delay. This was big increase for everybody, so everybody was discussing it, as you can imagine. So if we can make an adjustment, we'll try, but if not, then this will be the date. Is there any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Item is a two-part item, item BC 2018-782, Department of Information Technology. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 43945, which will result in an award recommendation to Dell Marketing LP in the amount of $28,472.40, and is for the purchase of 60 Microsoft Office 365 named licenses for the Civil Service Testing Lab and workstations, and it's for the Personnel Review Commission, and B, recommending the award in connection with said RP exemption.
Good morning, Board. Dennis Sullivan, Department of IT. PRC expressed this need to establish a testing lab. These licenses, as you're aware from past purchases, are under the Dell Master Agreement, which goes out to June 30th of 2020, which was formally bid last year and awarded. And this is coming out of PRC's capital.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-783, Department of Information Technology, submitting an amendment to a contract with Hawk Search, Inc. for web search tool services, and it's for the period November 27th, 2017 through November 28th, 2018, to extend the time period to December 4th, 2019, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $16,200.
Dennis Sullivan again with the Department of IT. If we could amend that item, the actual dates of the original contract were 12/5/17 to 12/4/18. We want to amend it for another year, take it out to the date stated, 12/4/19. The $16,200 is the same amount as the original contract per year. This is the search tool that's used by the end users, the general public, for our county website access. And this is the search tool that works hand in hand with the upgrade to the websites and the redesigns that we've been doing with the Sitefinity platform, if you recall, from a prior approval.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilman Miller.
Have we fully implemented the contracts database that's provided for in the county code, or is that still a work in progress?
The contract database for public
The
records
posting
requests?
the contracts?
Yes.
I think that all the contracts are posted, but in the summary form. I think they're still in the process of posting all the exact, the full measure, but I'm not positive of that. We can get you an answer on that.
Mr. Chair, if I can
Unless
add,
you know, yeah.
Next week, we're scheduled to meet with some employees of the IT department to go over what they're proposing to roll out the full database search. Right now, as the county executive indicated, they do have every contract posted and a small summary of each contract and the dollar amount, but not in a searchable database that IT is working on rolling out for us.
Okay, fine.
Thank you, Trevor.
Progress, we're aware of it and making
That's
progress.
great.
Yeah.
Okay. It sounds like we're getting pretty close. Okay.
Questions? Seeing none?
I
Oh,
have a,
yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I
Yeah,
have a
no problem.
question, and this is in regards to amending the dates. So originally for this particular item, board approval was approved for the following date, which was 11/27/2017 through 11/28/2018. And I know that you stated that the actual contract or the services did not start until a few days later.
The language of the original from legal is upon execution by the executive or designee, and the signed date of that contract is 12/5/17.
Right, but
So the vendor recognizes 12/5/17 as the approval and executed date.
but we have to recognize the date that the board approved the item. This item was originally a walk-on, and it was requested for those dates. So I do understand what you're saying, but the board.
This is a conversation that's come up a number of times that probably needs some clarity. We've been instructed by legal years ago that the formality of this meeting and the vote of this meeting is to write for the approval of the execution by the only one that can sign on behalf of the county, and that the date of the electronic signature is actually the effective date, as the contract language is from the legal department. So I'm not the final answer on that, but this has come up a number of times.
Do we have a legal insight into this or no?
I know this issue has come up. I don't know if it's actually been resolved.
This contract, this was Jonathan Megorian, this one in particular.
So I'd like to speak to why he arrived at that decision.
For now, until you get a legal opinion, we'd have to go with what the board approved originally. And the contract cover, as well as the contract, was executed with the dates of approval for, again, November 27th, 2017 through November 28th, 2018.
And just for clarity, the amendment that is submitted right now in the system has an effective date of 12/5/18, so that there's no gap in time as legal and as the vendor recognizes the original contract.
Mr. Chair, if I could add on that, I think, and this was some of the issues that I know that internal audit looked at in terms of the start and end dates. If I think a board approves a contract for a particular start and end date, I think that's the dates that we should go by. And if we're having the period end on 12/4/19, I still think that gets IT what they need in terms of there won't be a gap in service. The new contract will end on December 4th, but I would recommend keeping the dates as is because that's what the Board of Control approved last time. But the end date will ensure that we don't have a gap in service.
So what I'm hearing is that the Board of Control approved a contract that said effective upon signature. Is that accurate, or?
The
So-
language of the original draft that was signed by the vendor and ultimately signed by county.
So that's, but what did the Board of Control say at that time?
Again, at this time, the item was a walk-on. It was represented at the executive review for a specific time period. The department who
So when Board of
presenter who
Control
presented it.
voted on it, we voted on specific date.
Exactly.
I don't have an example in front of me to share with you, but
Okay.
what we're getting from legal and have gotten from legal for a long period of time is upon effective date in their legal definition.
That's
within the
fine
contract.
to do it upon effective date, but then the Board of Control needs to, that's what we need to approve in the Board of Control is the point. So if we didn't approve that language in the Board of Control, that's where the discrepancy comes. It's only a few days, but still a discrepancy. So would you repeat your suggestion, Mr. McAleer?
Mr. Chair, I was just saying, I think we should keep the dates as is because technically this contract amendment would be for a year and 6 days, really from 11/28 to 12/4/19. So we're still covered. There's not a gap in service. And if this is what the Board of Control originally approved with those dates, and I understand about what the contract may say, but it's, I think, what the approving body states. So if the Board of Control said 11/27 to 11/28, then we should keep it that way and just extend it through 12/4, so there isn't a gap in service.
So we would leave the dates of the contract as stated here and extend the period to 12/4, which is exactly what this says in Board of Control.
Right.
So I don't think that's going to impact your contract at all because it still gives you the end date, which is the same, and there's no gap in service.
That's correct.
Okay.
If we alleviate any gap in service, then you don't have any danger of a reinstallation fee or anything like that, reinstatement fee.
Fine. So I'll move to approve this as written. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
18-784, Department of Human Resources, submitting an amendment to a contract with Mainsail LLC for technical professional services in connection with the implementation of the Enterprise Resource Planning System for the period September 17, 2018 through September 16, 2019, to expand the scope of services to add temporary employee services for loan portfolio review for the Department of Development, effective November 13, 2018, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $120,000.
Good morning, Pat Smock on behalf of the Department of Human Resources and the Department of Development. I'm joined by Greg Huth from Development as well. This item is for temporary employees to assist with the reconciliation of economic development loan documents. The employees will work under the direction of existing economic development staff to assure all loan items are properly recorded in the portfolio system. One note that this amendment is end dated in September to match the end date of the contract being amended, although the work is targeted to be completed by March, and we appreciate your consideration of this item.
Questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, no.
Yes, Mr. McAleer.
We did submit advanced questions, which we got answers to. The council president has asked that this item get sent to committee for further discussion.
That was my understanding.
And we were going to talk to the chair of ED committee to see maybe just a discussion will take place in the committee, and then the approval can come back to the Board of Control like we've done sometimes, but just so further discussion can be had on the contracting committee.
Is there a problem?
Well, Mr. Chairman, to the committee, I think just as we've discussed, we've got a timing here. We're trying to get a lot of work done between now and the end of first quarter of 19, and the sooner we can get this amendment in place, we can get this temporary help in place, it'd be really helpful to us. One of the questions that came up was how this relates to the work that E&Y and the Inspector General have done to date. And I think this is kind of a follow-on to that. E&Y and the Inspector General identified issues, and in cases of E&Y, some recommendations for solutions. This is actually implementation. This isn't, I know it says review in the agreement, but this is more implementation. This is where we're going to get somebody with real accounting skills that can back up our loan portfolio manager so that we can make sure that by the end of first quarter next year, we can have all these repayment terms properly entered in the portfolio system. And remember, too, I think we said at the committee when we talked about portfolios, this is our archive. This isn't just what we're using to service loans that are active right now. We want to be sure that all the loans throughout the history that we have in portfolio are accurate, and that's part of what this role will be doing. So that's why I'd ask. I understand, I appreciate the possibility that they could come back here quicker, but we are trying to move this along.
Do you have an idea when the committee would meet, Mr. McAleer?
It's not scheduled yet. We haven't scheduled that with the chairman.
If I understand, there's a ERP committee this Thursday. Is it possible to put it on there and then bring it back by next Monday?
If I may, I'd rather not. I don't want to get these two things bound up that way. This really isn't about ERP. This is a temporary that we're using to,
Well,
like I said, implement a solution that we've been recommended.
Yeah, I don't think we should put it on Thursday's agenda just because of how much time typically the ERP discussion takes place anyway. And I think, I had a chance to talk to Greg this morning before the Board of Control and let him know some of the questions and concerns that some of the members had about this particular item. In terms of a schedule, I just don't know when the Economic Development Committee would meet.
Mr. Executive,
Yes, Councilman Miller.
I think you were first.
Nope,
Yes.
Councilwoman Baker then.
Yes, as a member of the Economic Development Committee, I thought that the last time we talked to that director, that he assured us that the reconciliation of all the loan documents would be taken care of by the end of the year. And there was no mention of additional dollars being needed, that most have already been reconciled. And there was just a few of maybe the older ones that were needed, but felt very confident at that time that we were on a good track to get that work done. So I'm a little surprised to see that we need more dollars to complete a project that I thought was pretty much wrapped up.
Mr. Chairman of the Council, when we made that presentation, we said there were actually two big deadlines we're shooting for. By the end of this year, we're trying to complete what we're calling a validation, or in my terms, an inventory, making sure that we have all of our documents. But the next step that we've committed to, as we testified to, by the end of the first quarter, is to make sure that all the repayment terms that are set forth in those documents are accurately entered in Portfolio. And that's what this person will be helping us with. And we need somebody with an accounting background and a banking background that can look at a loan agreement, look at a note, and understand what it means and put it into the Portfolio system accurately, make sure it's in the Portfolio system accurately. So there are two different deadlines we're meeting here that we talked about at that presentation. And I think, I don't recall if we mentioned the need for temporary help at that time, but as we've been going through this validation project, I think we're realizing the volume of work that we're trying to get done and trying to make that commitment of meeting the end of the first quarter of 19.
Part of this probably this is implementation. This is not anything like what the Inspector General or Ernst & Young did. They identified the problems and now they're implementing the solutions. But I put a lot of pressure on economic development because I want this to get done. So that's my guess is that's why they're coming in for additional funds to get it done in a timely fashion, as opposed to doing it in-house around other activities, which they could probably do without additional funds if we're willing to give them another 9 months or something, but I don't want to do that.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, the funding issue, this money is actually coming out of our contract line that was already approved by council, but it's money, we had several expenses that were in that budget for this year that we're not going to have. So this isn't any additional funding beyond what's already been approved for us contractually for the department.
I don't know if that discussion alleviates the questions or whether...
Well, only that, I'm trying to go back, I don't have my notes in front of me, but I just thought that at the Economic Development Committee meeting we were at, and we were wrapping up this part of this long process of organizing these old loans and organizing and putting in good processes for new loans, that we were there and on a good path. And the next time we were to talk to the director, he was to give us, a final chapter. I don't remember he coming back and saying, but I'm going to need another $120,000 to wrap it up. I just don't remember that. Maybe whether it was the end of this year or the first quarter of 19. So this could be a unexpected expense that wasn't anticipated at the time, but I don't recall that. That's my only concern.
Councilman Miller, did you have a question?
I do. Mr. Executive, Mr. Huth, I totally agree with what you said just a minute ago about not wanting to mix ERP stuff with non-ERP stuff. But what we're doing here is that we we tacked on this item, which is non-ERP related, onto the ERP main sale contract. I don't know why we're doing it that way. Can you elaborate on that?
I'll let Pat jump in, but I think my thinking is that we're trying, as I said, we're trying to get this done quickly, and this was a tool or a mechanism that was available to us just to amend the existing contract. And they have a couple attempts. We've seen some resumes that would be able to do the work we need.
The main sale contract, as I understand it, is part of the $25 million capital cost for the installation of the ERP project. Are we going to pay for the main part of the main sale contract out of that $25 million pot, but then pay this part of it out of a different part? Is that what the plan is?
Pat Smock again. Yes, Councilman, that's correct. This was, as Greg mentioned, this was to expedite. We have 6 temporary agency firms that the county currently has contracts with, and HR reached out to each of them and had them provide us with resumes of potential candidates, and ran those through the department, and Department of Development felt that the main sale candidates were by far the most qualified for this particular work. So then we looked for the most expeditious way to move forward with the contract with main sale, and amending that contract was the choice that we made. But to your point, sir, the main sale contract is through ERP funds. This is an entirely different index code, which is a general fund index code, as Greg mentioned, from the contracting line for the Department of Development. So those funds won't be commingled.
I have a general concern that we're doing too many things that aren't really a good thing because we're in a big hurry. And I mean, in the ideal world, this should be put out to bid. There's hundreds of firms out there that could do this work, and even if we weren't able to do that, I think tacking this on to the ERP contract and mixing up ERP and non-ERP things is just not the right way to do this, and I have concern about that.
Well, I don't think we've resolved their concerns
Correct. I don't
today,
have
so we will honor the president's request and move this to council. Okay.
Yeah, thank you all.
The next item, BC 2018-785, has been held. Moving on to item BC 2018-786, the Treasurer's Office recommending an award on requisition 43594 to Midwest Presort Mailing Services, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $61,552.78 for printing and mailing of first and last half of 2018 real property and delinquent collection tax bills in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 323.08.
Good morning, Chris Murray, County Treasurer. Bringing to you department order for Midwest Presort. Midwest is a local company that won the bid from 4 respondents. We are going to be printing approximately 750,000 bills over the next 12 months. This covers our first half collection, and it starts in December. And then then our second half collection that ends in July, and then also the third quarter collection in September. The winning bid is approximately $3,000 higher, or about 5% higher than the previous year, which was also Midwest Presort.
Thank you. Any questions?
Just a comment.
Councilman Miller.
I know Midwest has gotten this contract for a number of years, and I'm encouraged that in spite of that fact, you were still able to get 3 other vendors to bid on it, which means that it forces them to sharpen their pencil.
Correct.
So I think that's a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Baker.
This is probably just a typo, but it's under the description. It has December 1st, 2018 to November 1st, 2018. Is that meant to be 19 under the?
Yes, it is, Councilman.
You're referring to the briefing?
Yes,
Okay.
just wanted to make sure we were correct.
There's no dates, though, on the...
No, there's no
Right.
dates.
Okay. Any other comment? So moved by Councilman Miller, second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-787, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, submitting an agreement with the City of Cleveland in the amount not to exceed $163,000 for staffing of a cyber analyst for the Northeast Ohio Regional Fusion Center, and it's for the period November 13th, 2018 through March 31st, 2020.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn from Public Safety. Just a reminder, the Urban Area Security Initiative monies, or UASI, are awarded jointly to Cuyahoga County and the City of Cleveland by FEMA. Cuyahoga County is the fiscal agent, and as the motion reads, the purpose of this contract is to distribute a portion of the Cleveland monies so they can hire the cyber analyst at the Fusion Center.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-788, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, on behalf of the Sheriff's Department, recommending an award on requisition 43722 and enter into a sole source contract with TAC Computer, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $55,000 for development, testing, and implementation of enhancements to the Cuyahoga County Data Warehouse Interface. And it's for the period November 13th, 2018 through November 12th, 2019.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn. TAC Computer is the record management system for 41 municipal law enforcement agencies in Cuyahoga County, and this contract is going to build a bridge between those RMS systems into the county data warehouse to make that information that's housed in those record management systems available to everyone who participates in the data warehouse.
Thank you. Questions?
One
Councilwoman Baker.
For clarification, what is a $5 moving fee violation fund? What is that?
What the $5 fee is whenever any of us get a moving violation and we go to our municipal court, there's a $5 fee that the court levies for each moving violation. That money is turned over to the county for support of the criminal justice information system. That's correct.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Dever. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-789, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting a two-part item. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 43752, which will result in award recommendations to various providers in the total amount not to exceed $25,404.50. And it's for trauma-informed treatment services for court-referred youth for the period October 1st, 2018 through September 30th, 2019. And B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption for the following providers: Applewood Centers, Inc., Belfair Jewish Children's Bureau, Catholic Charities Corporation, Cornell Abraxas Group, Inc., and Ohio Minter, Inc.
Good morning, Karen Littman with Juvenile Court. This is a contract for trauma-informed treatment. This is part of our Safe Harbor docket, which is for the sex trafficking unit that we have, a specialized docket that we have. This is through a Victim of Crime Act through the Ohio Attorney General. The start date is October 1st, which is when the grant started. We didn't get our grant award till about the third week in October, so we expedited getting this on the agenda as quickly as we could once we did get the document for the grant award. And just one correction, it's actually the percentages of the funding should be reversed, so it's 98.4% for victim of crime because it is part of the grant, and then 1.6% for Title IV-E. which is just to cover any overage that we may have in service provision.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I move to approve as amended on the funding source. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
The next item, BC 2018-790, has been withdrawn by the department. Next item, BC 2018-791, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Homeless Services, submitting amendments to contracts with various providers for emergency shelter and rapid rehousing services in connection with the fiscal year 2017 Continuum of Care Homeless Assistance Grant Program. And it's for the period June 1st, 2018 through May 31st, 2019, for additional funds in the total amount not to exceed $200,000 for Domestic Violence and Child Advocacy Center, for Salvation Army, and for West Side Catholic Center.
Good morning, Shari Ware, Office of Homeless Services. These three family shelters provide services to homeless families with a focus on helping them to rapidly exit to permanent housing. This funding would be added to the existing operations with a start date of December 1st of 2018 and go through May 31st, 2019.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none. Oh, Councilwoman Baker.
This is written as June 1st, 2018, but you're saying now that it's December? Okay, so the June 1st is the start of the funding cycle that was approved for these three providers to receive homeless assistance dollars through the Continuum of Care Homeless Assistance Competition through HUD. These dollars are separate from that, and they're Health and Human Service Levy dollars, and so it would be starting December 1st. If I may, so the Health and Human Service dollars are paying for the 6 months that are left in this contract?
Yes. Well, they're adding to, yeah. It's not completely paying for it, but these shelters have all experienced decreases in their overall funding, particularly decreases from United Way, and so this is to assist with their existing operations.
If I may, will the $200,000 that's being asked today be for retro expenses?
No,
or just
it's
for
going
today forward.
right. Mm-hmm.
As I understand it, these funds are supplementing an existing contract.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Councilman Miller.
Is this $200,000 in the 2018 to 19 biennial budget for this purpose, or is this an expense that we did not anticipate being required?
These funds are in our budget.
I had been advised the same thing.
Okay, fine.
Further questions?
Have the money.
Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-792, Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga Job and Family Services, on behalf of the Division of Children and Family Services, submitting an amendment to a master agreement with the Metro Health System for toxicology services. And it's for the period January 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2018, to modify the terms to include cyber insurance effective July 1st, 2018, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $300,000.
Good morning, Bob Math with the Department of Health and Human Services on behalf of Division of Children and Family Services. DCFS currently has a contract with Metro Health Center. There are actually three components to this contract. One is for assessment and screening of children as they enter the foster care system as the county assumes custody. Another component is for psychotropic consultation. And then the third component is for toxicology drug testing for caregivers, youth, or other adults that might be in the home. Given the increase in the children coming into custody, DCFS has projected that they're not going to have enough money under this one line item for toxicology. So we're adding $300,000 to this existing contract to cover those projected costs.
Thank you. Questions? Councilman Miller.
How much of the additional cost is for cyber insurance?
Metro is picking up the tab. We're not paying for the cyber risk insurance, the cost of that under this contract. Possibly future contracts, but they didn't put it in their contract.
And regarding cyber insurance, what kind of things does it insure against, and if a claim comes up, what does the insurance company do about it on the insured's behalf?
I would probably have to defer to our law department, to be perfectly candid. We've increased the amount of cyber risk insurance. It's clearly to protect the health information, personal information of the folks receiving the services, and the county feels in order to protect the county's interests, they need to increase the amount of the cyber risk insurance. It went up substantially. In the past, has been $1 million.
Councilman, typically the cyber insurance, it can cover if there's installation of software or hardware, protection of data that's being shared between the two entities. I don't know exactly for this particular policy, but in general, that's what cyber insurance would cover. I can speak to our risk management person to get you more, who would have reviewed this, to get you more definitive information for this particular amendment.
And I know we've amended a lot of other contracts to add cyber insurance lately. Have we collected on any of the cyber insurance so far?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't think any claims have been submitted.
And hopefully we never will.
Exactly.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-793, Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga Job and Family Services, on behalf of the Community Initiatives Division, Family and Children First Council, submitting an amendment to an agreement with The Ohio State University for planning, coordinator, and facilitator services for the Youth Advocacy and Leadership Coalition of Cuyahoga County. And it's for the period January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2019, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $105,347.
Good morning, Kathleen Johnson for Family and Children First Council. We are requesting to extend our contract with Ohio State Extension for the Youth Advocacy Leadership Coalition. It's a 4-H program for youth leadership, skills center, training, and supporting them in advocacy issues for youth, linking them to their communities through service learning experiences. The RFP was released last year in 2017. Ohio State Extension did win that award.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Dever. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-794, Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga Job and Family Services, Division of Child Support Enforcement, submitting an amendment to a contract with the Progressive Baptist Association for outreach, enrollment, and management services for the Protect Our Babies project. And it's for the period July 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2018, for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $40,000.
Al Grimes, Department of Health and Human Services. This contract amendment is for additional grant money to support our faith-based Protect Our Babies reduction of infant mortality program. The program consists of 44 churches in Cuyahoga County working collaboratively with the community and their respective church constituents to assure that all babies live to reach their first birthday. Each church has a trained health ambassador, distributes materials on safe sleep and other preventive measures, includes messaging about reduction of infant mortality in sermons, and holds individual forums to address this issue.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-795, is a two-part item. Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Senior and Adult Services, A, submitting an RP exemption on requisition 44030, which will result in an award recommendation to the Center for Community Solutions in the amount not to exceed $7,500, and it's for financial support for administrative staffing for the period January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019. And B, recommending the award and enter into the contract in connection with said RP exemption.
Good morning. Paul Porter, Health and Human Services, on behalf of the Division of Senior and Adult Services. The Center for Community Solutions serves as a facilitator for COOP, or the Council on Older Persons, and DSAS has provided funding in this amount since 2014. Other area agencies that provide support for COOP include the McGregor Foundation, who issued a challenge grant that prompted other agencies to fund it, and it also includes Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging and the Benjamin Rose Institute.
You? Any questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you. And please take a look at consent agenda items 796 to 799. Does anybody have any questions?
I would like to make one comment. Mr. Chair, we would like to, and this is on page 9 for a requisition number 49357 for scalpel blades and handles for autopsy lab. We want to change the requisition number to CR18 43957. So the original requisition was 49357. We are amending it to change it to 43957.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from anybody? Seeing none, I move to approve the consent agenda items with the amendment mentioned earlier. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Dever. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda items are approved. And
Can I ask
yes.
one question on 796?
Sure.
The Board of Control number is BC 2017. We're amending BC 2017-798, dated 11/6/18. Is that 11/6/2017?
It should be 17, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
The
Good
item
catch.
number. And just on that, do we know if we purchased that? Made that purchase yet? Because that's been close to, yeah, we have, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Strictly a name change. It's not an assumption of it.
Thank you.
Okay. And no problem. Any other questions or comments? Okay, let's go to other business.
Yes, we have two mission-critical items. The first mission-critical item that we have is Department of Public Works recommending an award on requisition 44036 in the amount not to exceed $24,500 to Trumbull Industries for plumbing supplies for sanitary division.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Public Works, requesting mission critical approval of this requisition. It's a 44036. It's a $24,500. It's a not to exceed as needed requisition. The vendor's Trumbull Industries. The service is plumbing supplies for our sanitary division. We have an existing contract with Trumbull, and our sanitary division has been utilizing that rapidly, let's put it that way. And then this year we've had a change in weather. They're using supplies a lot quicker. So as we're in the process of amending this current contract with Trumbull, we want to get a not to exceed DO just so we have no interruption of service as we continue this migrate towards winter. We did put this in buy speed for the minimum 2 hours. We did have 2 bids, and Trumbull was the low bidder. So just requesting approval. And once the new contract amendment adding funds is in place, we intend on decertifying whatever balance is left in this.
Thank you. I move to amend today's agenda to consider the item. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is amended. Any further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Miller, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next mission critical item is from the Department of Public Works, recommending an award on requisition 43941 in the amount not to exceed $5,760.96. And the vendor is WM Plots Machine and Forge Company. And this is for the Justice Center Complex main house pumps rebuilding kits.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Public Works again. As Andre said, this is for the Justice Center. It's for the 3 main house pumps located in the Justice Center. It's part of the main heating plants for the entire complex, minus Cleveland Police. So for Court Tower as well as the jails, the pumps, the bearings became shot. We had to get the replacement kits, inboards, outboards, mechanical seals, gaskets, etc. We had to get these ordered just so there's no outage with the obviously with the weather changing for these pumps.
Thank you. I move to amend today's agenda. Consider the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is amended. Questions?
Yes.
Councilman Miller.
How much money?
I apologize. It was $5,760.96. It was for 3 different kits and the laser alignment of those pumps once they're installed.
And is this in Public Works?
Yes.
Further questions?
Move approval.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Dever. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Are there any other business items?
Thank you.
No other business items at this time,
Any public comment?
and no public comment.
I move to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Yes, long meeting.